When we saw this Trump Jason Aldean rally in Duluth, Georgia, we started doing some Googling. We wanted to know where Trump was campaigning and why. And the answer we found was definitely not what we expected. Trump wasn't in the country. He was in a Korean city. Why? We went to find out. Duluth, Georgia is a suburb 20 miles north of Atlanta. It's known for having nearly 30,000 Korean Americans, making it one of the country's largest Korean communities. In parts of the city known as Koreatown, all the signs are in Korean, the stores are Korean, and few people speak English. Now, we didn't realize this, but as it turns out, according to the Census Bureau, Georgia is the 9th most diverse state in the country. Now, political analysts often talk about Georgia being divided between black and white. And now, in fact, whites are a majority and blacks are about a third of the state, the third largest share in the country. Yet that narrative ignores the diversity of the state, which includes large groups of Hispanics and different Asian communities, including Korean Americans. Now, polling has shown that minority voters, particularly blacks and Hispanics, have been more receptive to Trump in this election campaign.
Kamala or Trump?
Trump.
But what about Koreans?
Trump.
So as we did our research, what we found is that in 2020, 51% of Korean Americans identified as Democrats. This time around, just 38% do. At the same time, the overwhelming majority of Korean Americans say the economy is their number one issue, something that helps Trump. That was all from the Asian American voter survey. Now, a totally different survey done by the University of Chicago found that Trump support among Koreans has increased 8% since May. So now Korean Americans are less anti-Trump than they were before, but is that enough to draw Donald Trump to do a rally there? In Georgia, it may be. The state has 100,000 Korean Americans. Last time around, Biden won the state by just 12,000 votes. That means that if Trump can get just 6,000 of those former Biden voters to vote for him, he would win the state and potentially the country. So is his strategy working? We went to find out. On the way into town, we passed a Korean newspaper and stopped to hear some local insights.
In the back rooms.
Okay, where are we? We're at the offices of the Korea Daily, which is a Korean newspaper in Duluth, Georgia. Hey.
Korea Daily has been around for 50 years.
One thing that we had read about before this is that the voter registration among the Korean Americans, not just here, but across the country, has shifted a lot. Yeah, we're trying to understand that and why.
Okay. Economy is always a big issue. Immigration is always, as immigrants, immigration issues.
He recommended a few shopping centers where he might find some locals to talk to, so we headed there next. Now, most people didn't speak enough English to talk, but some did, and here's what they had to say.
We have the election coming up, and there's been a trend in American politics where a lot of Koreans have shifted away from the Democratic Party. And we're curious why people think that's happening.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it is.
Are you surprised to hear that?
But I don't know why it's happening like that. I guess they were misled.
Did you come from South Korea to here?
Yeah. Korean companies invest here, especially Samsung, Hyundai.
Do a lot of people here vote? Are people politically active?
Yeah.
What do you think of Biden?
Biden, I like that, yeah. Trump, that's also.
So another big change is Korean American polling suggests that they're moving a little more rightward across the country. What are the biggest issues for the community here?
I don't think they feel they're as represented. I think there's a lot of Asian Americans that are willing to vote, that do vote, but I don't think they believe that they're as targeted. Does it make sense?
What are the biggest issues for people in this area, for you personally too?
Political issue, tax evasion, immigration, economy, and always in fighting. So those are issues.
Would you be willing to share? Are you going to vote for Donald Trump or Kamala?
No, I'm not going to share that right now for that, as far as that's concerned. But I'm a conservative.
What's generally within the Korean community, if there is a view toward abortion? Or do people tend to be more pro-life or pro-choice?
That's a one issue. It can go anywhere. And, it can go either way. But I think we have a bigger issue with immigration law. That really bothers me. And a lot of Americans feel, similar way. I feel they need to go through like everybody else. If they're asking us to get our license and citizenship and all that, I feel that's rules apply to everybody.
Okay, so we just talked to someone off camera who told us that Trump is preferred among most Asian Americans for what he does for the economy, but he's such a turnoff to them because of saying things like the China virus and boosting hate crimes during the pandemic especially. So a lot of people don't think he's presidential, and they don't like how he's targeted their community, but they say they love to make money when Trump's in office. That's what we just heard. So,
Were you born in Korea or here?
No, I was born in Korea. Moved here in 1969 though.
1969. What was that like? You know, getting here from Korea, was it easy to assimilate, become an American?
I was young by then. I was adopted.
And so this is the Army that you
Yes,
served in?
2nd Infantry.
Why did you join the Army?
Let's put this way, I don't know. Since American parents adopted me and the U.S. government accept me as their own child, so I feel that I owe something to this country, so I spent myself about 7 years in service.
One thing we're curious about is we have the election coming up,
Yes.
right? We're wondering what community lean one way or another politically. Does it tend to be more Democratic, Republican?
We don't usually talk about that, political. But myself, before I choose Trump, but this time I probably will not.
Why not?
Because of the incident in January, several years ago. Ever since then, I, as a president of the United States, incite someone to overcome a city, that's totally wrong. That's how I feel.
Will you vote for Kamala or will you not vote?
It's quite difficult, but I guess I have no choice. But Kamala, I probably will choose her.
I believe what someone told us was in 2020, 51% of Korean Americans were registered Democrats. Today, 38%. So a major drop. Why do you think that's happened?
Probably economy. Economy is the main reason, as you know. We all feel that way. Because, ever since COVID, look at the prices. Supplies are high, and about 25-30% hike since then. Over income, probably not more than 6%. So you compare that. Yeah, I think that's the major factor.
We also learned that there are other Asian American groups in this area, including Chinese Americans and Laotian-Americans. Within the Chinese community around here, what do you think? What's Harris, Trump, is there a preference?
Depends. For people in the middle class, they probably go with Trump. And people that are lower class will go. There's more benefit.
For you, ahead of the election, what mattered?
I mean, it don't really matter to me because they're not going to do a thing. It's all about them, not for us.
To find people to talk to here outside of this Asian market. But what the guy just said was this area used to be super Korean. He said everyone here is Korean. But then Chinese people started moving in. They said Koreans and Chinese don't get along because the Koreans think the Chinese are propping up the North Korean government. So then the Koreans started to move out. And he said now the Koreans are further up the road.
Oh, I was refugees. My father was, he was in the army there, in the guerrilla units there with the CIA, of course. So that back then it was a secret war. So the communists took over then. We had to flee.
what are the biggest political issues, do you think, for Asian Americans in this community? Since it's an important vote for the state of Georgia, super important.
So for Asian Americans, I don't know. I'm kind of out of that thing. I'm more like American.
Yeah.
Versus going, hey, I'm Asian American, or I'm this American, or that American. So like right now, I'm at a time where I'm just like, we're all just Americans.
Do you think that's by choice, where like some immigrants decide to do that, or do you think that's inevitable? And given enough time, everybody who moves here becomes American?
I think it's inevitable. We went to France, we went to other countries, and I really realized this is the only country that you can say, I'm American, and I don't look American.
Given how few people spoke English, it was hard to get a sense of how Duluth will vote. But certainly this didn't seem like a progressive or a particularly anti-Trump area. Whether that means he'll get enough support here to win, that's anyone's guess. But the fact is, this year's election could come down to Koreatown in Duluth, Georgia.